Hey, and welcome back to the show. We are here with Cahill Camden. He is a Forbes contributor. He is a best-selling author. He's the CEO of Digital Vision Media Group. They're an agency that helps Web3 and technology companies optimize for growth. And his latest startup is called Press Jockey, which is a tool that sorts thousands of press requests each week to help businesses get up to 5 times more press with 90% less effort. So, Cahill, glad to be talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Robert. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you too. And so this idea, I've over the years, I hear about it. I hear people talk about it in theory, but I very rarely hear anyone do it. And I'm just like, I need to find someone who actually does this whole idea of like, what is it, like help a reporter out? And there's all these kind of services where there are, my limited understanding is that there are like these journalists out there who need these quick 50-word, 100-word blocks for their articles. And then my limited understanding, again, is like, if you're quick and you see these kind of press requests come in, you can respond and be kind of the authority figure and be featured in some of these like high-profile publications. So is that completely off base, or is it on the right track? Is that similar to what you do? Tell me some things.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. So like you said, there are resources like Help a Reporter Out and others. And then there's also a number of hashtags on Twitter that you can follow. So there's really like thousands of press requests or media requests, we might say, because there's podcasts, YouTubers, bloggers, and the traditional media. But there's thousands of these requests happening every day. And so you can go onto some of these platforms for free. Some of them are paid. But it just takes a lot of work to filter things down by yourself, or you got to hire someone to do that. And so what we've done at Press Jockey is, because we run an agency, Digital Vision Media Group, we built this tool for ourselves. And so like we run press, we know what it's like. And so what we do is, like you said, we filter thousands of these requests down. We make it extremely easy to reply with a couple of clicks. So 2-click reply. You can use pre-written templates that you write yourself, or we can help you write templates, and you're off to the races. It's really fast. It's really easy to get going.
Well, great, and like you're kind of bringing up some of the problems that I have come across when trying to go this route, and I'm sure I'm not alone. Where, like you said, there's all these requests, and there's that need to filter out exactly what you need, because so many times a request comes in and it's like, I'm almost perfect for this, but I feel like I need to like do some writing, do some research, and by that time 2 days have passed. They want their reply within a couple of hours. So like my wife narrates audiobooks, and someone came along saying like, can you talk about like artificial intelligence narrating audiobooks? And I was like, oh, that's like, here's her area of expertise, and what they want is just like the next door over. And it's like, oh, it'd be great if there would be kind of the shortcutting and the ideal fit and the templates to be able to just do it in a couple of clicks. And so what we're talking about so far is kind of the frustrating, the before picture aspect of it. So what is it like when someone uses Press Jockey? Like you mentioned some of the steps there, but do you have a fun kind of like start to finish quick story of like, do you have like in your experience, or do you have a customer or someone who uses this and they're in like this niche, this request came in, they did these clicks and they got published? Any kind of cool start to finish story like that?
Yeah, great question. So we use this for ourselves, right? Like I said, I built this because I needed a tool for our agency, right? Like we do press for clients, and so we were on Harrow. We were trolling Twitter for dozens of press requests that were going through on Twitter. Like we have staff who that was their full-time job. Like they were actually looking for this all the time, every day, responding every day. And so we built the tool to help us first. And then I thought, we can help other brands tell their story. And, this is a great tool for any brand that really wants to get some more exposure and some brand awareness, credibility, that type of thing. So yeah, we use it for ourselves. We have templates that we have we have our own personal templates that we have for our clients. There's obviously an agency version of Press Jockey. So we've got our own templates. We go into Press Jockey every day. We check out the matches that we've got for various clients. We customize the responses because we've got pre-written templates. So we customize them a little bit, and then we press send and we fire them off. And yeah, we've gotten opportunities from this, like for clients and for ourselves as well. So yeah, it definitely definitely works, helps save a ton of time.
And do you have any like kind of like big wins or like, you know, successes you want to brag about with this? Because I imagine that maybe some of your clients have gotten on like such an like, you know, like New York Times or Forbes or something like that just from kind of being on the spot with this.
We just launched in middle of January, so it's very, very early days. And the first couple of weeks of launch was interesting. We had to figure out a couple of challenges, but we just launched, so we know that those stories are going to happen very soon with our clients, and also with more people that come on. We've already heard great feedback from some of the people that have been using the platform, and they've said, "Hey, look, I've gotten opportunities. I'm progressing forward." Ultimately, it's up to them to close the final deal, but we can really help you get those opportunities going, very, very quickly.
Well, fair enough. And so in this process, were there any surprises, or are there things that if someone just hears about this in theory land versus actually doing it, is there anything that we should know? Because like, for example, like if I'm prospecting in general, right, or I'm responding to a request in general, I always have to do like 10 times the amount of work that I think, right? Like if you're trying to get on podcast, you're like, oh, I'll contact 20 shows. You need to contact like 200 shows. So as far as this whole like Press Jockey experience, getting press coverage, are there any like kind of ahas or surprises such as that with this process?
Yeah, it's a good question. There's a number of them that have come up over the last 6 months and 7 months of working on this. What we've realized is that finding relevant matches is really important. Like it's one thing to have a lot of volume of press opportunities, but it's another thing to find relevant matches. And so this is something that we've been constantly tweaking and adjusting on Press Jockey, and we're actually, between you and I, we're integrating AI into this as well. So you mentioned AI before, which I wanted to bring up. So we're integrating that into it as well to help with that sentiment analysis and to help really get even more refined matches. So finding great matches was one of the things that in the very early days when we had this idea, it didn't really give the matches we wanted, and so we've been refining that over time. So that's one. Two is when you are responding, it's really imperative. It's really important to have a good template, and you can custom respond to every single request. That does work. It is going to take you a bit more time, but having a really solid template where you can bend it quite easily to the pitch that you're responding to, or to the press request that you're responding to, that's super important. And so as an agency, we've had to refine our own pitches and our own templates, over the past few weeks while we're actually starting to push this out the door. And we've realized like, okay, wow, like some pitches obviously get more traction than others, but it's really great. You've really got to have a good template that you can work with and bend to that press request that's coming through the door. So those would be two, I think.
And that's a good like writing and business like tool in general, just to be able to know how to manage your own templates and to say, well, I shouldn't be writing these things from scratch every time. And I mean, that applies in so many scenarios. Like, I mean, you think like a customer support help desk, right? You have all these customer requests. And if you were to just paste the same old cookie cutter message to say like your customer help desk, that wouldn't be helpful. But if you were to like completely start from scratch every time, that wouldn't be helpful. And so if you can kind of blend the two, and it pays off in so many different scenarios, right? When you're looking for joint ventures, marketing on LinkedIn, this whole thing with the press coverage, like it's a transferable skill as far as saying, well, here's what I want to write, and it doesn't make any sense to start over, and then I kind of figure out the template. And then you alluded a little bit to of like sort of tweaking and testing the template and saying, well, let me try like long or short, or saying this or saying that. And so are there any like sort of like universal truths that you found, like as far as these press requests? Are there like do's and don'ts that apply to any industry?
Yeah, certainly. You're asking the big bucks questions. Yeah. So about to answer the question about tweaking press requests. Again, one of the things that we are starting to do right now is we're experimenting with AI and ChatGPT for this reason as well. I talked about already, the sentiment matching and getting better results on the actual filtering of requests, but also we're looking at how can we really make requests or responses to the media requests, how can we make them really personal and really, really unique for that one request that you're doing. And so instead of you having to write it out, this is where we're already starting to experiment with, things like AI to help accelerate that process again and just make it super easy for you. And so we're training, obviously we've got to train the AI and without getting into too many details about that. Some of the things that we've noticed in terms of universal truths about pitches. And again, this is regardless of whether you do it on, you go to pressjockey.com and you work with our tool or whether you do it on your own. There are some universal truths. And so here are a few. One, keep it short. Like the media is getting a ton of responses all the time. And so even on tools like Hero, Quoted, Get Response, like there's a whole bunch of them. Even on those tools, if you're going to use them for free, if you're going to pay for them, you've got to keep your message short. Every media person is getting a lot of inbound responses to their request. And they're also getting cold emails and cold requests like, hey, do you want to feature me in my company? Hey, do you want to talk about this? And they're just getting a ton of attention. Just keep it short. I always say, and we do webinars on this and we teach this. You've got to answer the question, and it's very direct, but you got to answer the question, so what? Why should I care? And you've got to answer that question from the journalist or from the media's perspective. I get it. We all have interesting companies. We all want to change the world. We want to make impact. We want to grow our businesses. It doesn't matter whether you are in a service-based business, software, e-commerce, etc. At the end of the day, no one really cares about you. They care about themselves to a very strong degree. And so you've got to answer that question from their perspective. So what? Why should I care as the podcaster? Why should I care as the journalist? And if you can address that question and tie in your company and the interesting aspects of your story and your expertise, then you will get great results. So that's number 2. So what? Why should I care? Answer that question. And then number 3, we always make it just easy for the media to connect with us. So we include, we often include links or a little bit of extra, LinkedIn profiles, maybe a document, media kit, that type of thing to enhance, the opportunity or the chance of us getting that opportunity. And so that gives the journalist or the podcast or the blogger an opportunity to dig a little deeper before reaching out to us. And, we can kind of separate ourselves a little bit from that. So those would be 3 that I would say. Keep it short, answer the question, so what, why should I care? And if you can, include a tiny bit of extra information for the journalist or media to do their own research. That's really, really helpful.
Those are some great ideas. You're reminding me that I worked with this guy like 20 years ago, and he, like some journalist, I can't even remember what the topic was or the reason was, but some journalist was like reaching out to all these business owners, and he was the only one that ended up in the news story because he had like one of these like kind of media kit, press kit type of pages with some of his photos, and then he was the only one that had a phone number on his website for whatever the heck this project the journalist was working on, and so he was like easily accessible and had some of those things online like you mentioned. And then also you're reminding me of I knew this guy once who spoke at high schools, and like everyone else's mistake was marketing to like the faceless organization, the high school. And he was saying, well, let me market to like the principals of these high schools specifically, because what is the principal's problem? Where are they stuck? They're looking for like some kind of content to fill the students gathering, assembly, and they need something that's kind of fun and entertaining for the students. So he was with the mindset of solving the high school principal's problem. And that's what I'm hearing from you too, is like, you're not just bringing this news story to like some local news station. The journalist has a problem of they need to fill up time, but they also kind of want to ride the wave of whatever people are talking about right now, but also have like an expert and also have something that's concise and fun. So that's kind of an interesting mindset to get into, of like kind of forming a relationship with these journalists, and you're solving their problem of how they need an expert to present about this thing. They're not looking and saying, what are some fun new companies out there? They want someone to talk about something that's kind of newsworthy and timely. So this is all kind of fun stuff to think about and talk about. And so I want to, in a moment, talk about Press Jockey specifically. But one last quick question to fit in there is, what are sort of the prerequisites? Because if someone says, this seems like a good idea, contacting these kind of, journalists and contacting the press, but if someone might say, well, do I need like one of these press kit pages, or do I need like a book or a bio? Like, what does somebody need to be prepared to use Press Jockey?
You need to want to be in the press. Like that's really, and that really is what it comes down to. Sure, a media kit can help, but do you need it to get started? No, you don't. Sure, if you have a really slick website, will that help? Yeah, it can help. But do you need it? No. Do you need to have your e-commerce company or your business doing millions of dollars a year? No. Again, to go back to your previous point, Robert, you kind of hit the nail on the head. The journalists, the bloggers, the podcasters, the people who are creating content are trying to solve a problem, right? And that problem is they're trying to produce content so that they can get attention on the internet from their audience, so that they can drive clicks, which will lead to revenue, right? This is what content is about. And so whether it's a huge publication like the New York Times or Forbes, or whether it's a tiny publication like your local blogger, they're all shooting for the same thing, which is getting that attention so that they can get clicks, so that they can drive revenue. And so how do you get clicks? Well, you've got to have an interesting story. You've got to have an interesting pitch. You've got to have an interesting or unconventional way of presenting information and knowledge that you already have. And so do you need a bio? No. Yeah, you need a bio, but do you need a media kit? Excuse me? No, you don't need a media kit. Do you need a slick website? No. If you're an expert in your space, or you've got more experience than most people or some people in your space, and you can present that experience and insight in an interesting way, that's what they're looking for. That's what's going to help them get a unique angle on their story, get a unique perspective on their blog, get a unique piece of insight on their podcast or on their YouTube channel. And that's what they're looking for. So if you can present that, you're good. You can then go out and build all the other things down the road, but don't let that hold you back. And I think that that's a really important point. If you want to be in the media, you want to be in the press, you got to get started. Yeah, you're going to have a bunch of mess ups, but you want to get started, and you want to present your knowledge in that unique way so that people want to consume it. And so that's what I would say is just super important.
I love it. Just get started. Start with the bare minimum and figure out those things along the way. You can always think all day long about all these obstacles you put in place to not take action. And there's also kind of the thought of there's the lag time, right? Like if you decided to start today, you won't be on TV today. It might be as a result of all this prospecting you're doing. So it doesn't make sense to wait until the time is right, because the time will never be just right. If you start today, then some of these results will pay off in the coming weeks. But if you don't start today, then you might never get started. So if someone says, okay, this sounds great, I need to be pursuing this whole press requests idea, I need to check out Press Jockey. Where do they go? What do they do? What's it all about?
Anyone can go to pressjockey.com. So like a horse jockey, pressjockey.com is where you go. And on pressjockey.com, you can sign up for free to see if you've got keyword matches in the press, in the media, from the press requests that are going out there. So this is one of the things that, I've heard a lot of our customers ask for, is like, or they said, well, I'm not sure if my niche or my niche is going to have press requests. Okay, you can sign up for free, and you can see, we'll filter through thousands and thousands of requests for you. I think last month it was close to 45,000 requests we went through, maybe 47,000. So we'll filter through thousands of them for you, and you can see the matches that your keyword will have. You won't be able to respond to them. Those are in the paid versions, but it's that simple. You can go and sign up for free. And if you want to sign up for the paid versions, right now we are actually having a early bird beta launch, because we just launched a couple of weeks ago. And so everything's 50% discounted right now. So you can get started for like $47 a month. And you can respond to press requests with templates and get the ball rolling. And like you said, it is going to take, like, if you want to be on really large publications, think New York Times, Forbes, Wall Street Journal, CNBC, etc. And we've gotten our clients on those publications. You are going to need to build your ability to present your knowledge and your information in a unique and insightful way, right? And you got to start today. You can't just turn it on in 6 months, say, hey, I want to be on New York Times, and all of a sudden, be on the New York Times. It doesn't work like that. So start today. You can go to pressjockey.com. Everything's 50% off until March 1st. And so it's just a great way to get started, and it just saves a ton of time. Like we've saved 15 hours a week for, almost per client that we work with, because all of the filtering is done for you. We're going through thousands and thousands of requests from, multiple sources around the web, from Twitter, etc. You don't have to waste your time trolling and skimming through all of these different platforms. It's all done for you. So just go to pressjockey.com. That's the best way to get started.
I love it. And that time saving aspect is huge, because if it takes too much time, you might get discouraged and not continue, right? If it takes you 2 weeks just to contact one publication, then you're like, well, it's so much time just for this little result. But if you can see some results, as you said in the beginning, it's more about quality, not quantity. But if you can start seeing some of these things pay off, you can see some of these kind of like relevant keywords show up and say, this and this would be a match for what I have to talk about, then that's encouraging. And in this day and age, with the age of artificial intelligence, saving time is what it's all about. So as Cahill said, take that first step, begin that micro commitment, try out the free version so you can see what comes up. And then when it makes logical sense to then begin reaching out, then graduate over to the kind of that beta version. And the place to go is PressJockey.com, pressjockey.com. We'll see you there. And thank you, Cahill, for showing up and giving us some cool ideas and pushing us to take action to this kind of endeavor we need to be pursuing, which is contacting the press. I love it. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it, Robert. Thanks for having me on.